yo. It's Kendra here and Samara, and you are back with the Balans. It is a super chill, it's a beautiful day in Chicago today on Saturday, and we are just chilling in our basement. Babe got some wine, baby is chilling. And we are here to finally share our TTC journey. And a lot of you might know what that means, some of you don't, but it stands for trying to conceive.
It's so crazy because like when we first started this journey,
it's crazy. Already she goes.
No, here you go. No, look. When we first started this thing, right, like Bae would have all these acronyms and she would be talking to me as if like I know. Okay. But it would be like, yeah, I was just watching a TTC video and I'd be like, what's TTC?
Long story short, you know, if you are on the journey, you already get it. You already understand there are a lot of acronyms. If not, you will surely learn. So why are we here? Why do we even care to share our TTC journey? Like, what's the big deal? First of all, we are here to share it because number one, representation matters. And as a African-American same-sex couple who desire to start a family, it is not traditional in any way. So it's a whole whoop-de-doo when it comes to how we start a family. Now, many of y'all probably already know that queer family starting is like spreading like rapid wildfire. And we just want to add our story and our voice to the conversation of intentional parenting and the journey to get there as a same-sex couple. So, gosh, where to even begin? Where to begin? All right, you know, been together, married, all that good stuff. We want to start a family. So it's like, we ain't doing the do. We ain't the birds and the bees. We ain't doing, she ain't got no sperm. So how are we going to go about doing this? And you know, there's the option of getting donor sperm from a homie. There's the option of parenting with another same-sex couple, i.e. a gay male couple or a lesbian couple, and they co-parent together. You can buy sperm from a sperm bank and use medical interventions such as IVF, IUI. There's a plethora of options. So when we wanted to start our journey, we already knew that we were not going to go the route of, hey, baby.
Unknown donor.
Unknown donor. Because we didn't really have any known donor options, right?
Yeah, we don't know no dudes like that.
We just, not any that we would be comfortable with asking for their sperm and all of that. And we also, there's this element of, would we want our donor to be involved in raising the child that was produced from using their sperm? And I think
and I didn't have a problem with that.
She didn't. I was not.
Like, yo, the more the merrier. How much you got on this?
She's always approaching stuff from an economical mindset.
I mean, no, even like a father figure. Like, I didn't mind that.
You're right. Okay, so
she economically, yes, and also like I didn't mind that our baby would have two moms and a dad.
Fair. I did not know how that was going to look, so I was like, when you choose that, there's also this legal thing that you have to consider in terms of just protecting your rights as moms, you know? Sure. So if you involve a known father or a known donor who is going to play a father role, you want to be able to protect her, because I was the one who was going to be, the birth mother, and I'm going to be on the birth certificate, but we want to protect her rights as a mom. And,
Wait, so am I not on the birth certificate?
You're not on the birth certificate, no.
Dang, yes, I am.
Are you?
Did you look at it?
We haven't gotten it yet, so our son...
I swear I thought I put my name on it.
All right, so let's not get into that. We'll get into that. I don't think she's on the birth certificate.
But what's that paper that we signed when we was at the hospital?
I don't know, girl. We will figure it out when we get it.
I swear I'm on it.
All that to say, I was not necessarily wanting to go the route of a known donor because of that extra layer of like stuff that needs to be figured out on the front end. So we ended up finally deciding on doing a donor sperm. So before we even got to donor, actually we did all of this at the same time. There's 3 things that we did at the same time at the very beginning before we got as far as, hi baby.
What's up, dude?
Before we
just turn it up, right here talking.
He's supposed to be napping.
So
He's supposed to be napping, but
yeah,
now he's talking.
What you doing, guys?
There were 3 things that we wanted to get squared away at the beginning before we went as far as mixing the sperm with the egg. So, girl,
you act like you like just throw it together in
that's pretty much it. So the 3 things that we wanted to do, the 3 things that mattered is I wanted to be aware and knowledgeable of my reproductive health status. You know, I'm a lesbian woman. I had regular periods. I had spent several years on birth control when I was younger. I didn't know what was going on down there. I didn't know if I had fibroids, if I had whatever, nothing. So I had to become knowledgeable of my reproductive health to make sure I was even, in the running for getting pregnant. 2, we had to pick a sperm donor. We had to figure out what type of sperm we were going to use. And 3 is what she would, I'm sure, say is one of the most important parts is insurance. Figuring out, if we end up having to use medical intervention, what
type of insurance
would we have? And those are the 3 things that we had to think about on the front end. Was I good to go? Who our donor was going to be? And the method of getting pregnant.
So the first thing is don't go to your OBGYN.
Yes.
Don't start there because they're not going to know anything.
They don't know anything. You need to go to a fertility specialist of some sort, a fertility center, a reproductive endocrinologist. One of those things. Somebody who specializes in fertility
or infertility,
or exactly. So yes, I think some people might be under the preconceived notion that you would go to your OBGYN,
but you do not.
They don't know nothing
about same-sex parents trying to make a baby.
They don't even really know much about like the testing that you get done. Right. So I go. It's the summer of 2018, y'all. Summer 2018. So I went to the fertility center here in Chicago. It's called the Fertility Center, FCI, Fertility Center of Illinois. It's literally like the largest one here in Chicago. And I went there because they were advertising this fertility wellness exam. It's only $90. It's not covered by insurance, and $90 to $100 is the standard price for getting this testing done. This testing consists of a blood draw and an ultrasound. It's a really basic test where they just test your hormone levels to test that you're ovulating, it basically confirms that you're ovulating at the time of month that you're supposed to be ovulating, and there's some other levels. And then they do a general check of your uterus via ultrasound. It's the outside of your uterus to make sure there aren't any like huge growths on it. Very basic. I do that test. They confirm, very quickly that I'm ovulating, my numbers look good, I don't have any weird growths on my uterus, I'm good to go. You'll later learn that I recommend getting more testing than that just because there's a lot of money involved, and that basic level of testing is if you just got time after time after time after time to try and you not spending a whole bunch of money, okay? So anyway, I leave, I call babe, my numbers look good, let's do this. Initially, we wanted to take the super inexpensive route with the assumption that my reproductive health was A-okay. It's like, let's just buy some sperm, have it shipped to the crib, pee on some ovulation sticks, and put it inside me when I think I'm ovulating, okay? There's a whole bunch of research you can do when it comes to learning when you're ovulating, peeing on the stick. I highly encourage, if you want to do at-home method, do your research, learn your body, pay attention to the fluid down there, the texture of it. There's so many indicators that tell you when you're ovulating. Do your research, buy the ovulation strips, figure it all out, whatever. With this initial method, it requires perfect timing. You have to really trust in the Lord on this one. This one is like, Because
you gotta trust on the Lord, the universe, the spiritual advisors,
all of the above. Because timing has to be impeccable. The sperm gotta do all the work. It goes inside you. It gotta swim. It gotta do. So this method, you know, and same-sex couples get pregnant like this all the time. People do it all the time. I don't know how effective it is with frozen sperm, but I know they get pregnant using hot and ready live sperm from a donor.
I call it the hot and juicy.
The hot and juicy. I know they get pregnant like that all the time. So we did that a couple times.
Hot, ready, and juicy.
We did that a couple times.
I would say like 3 or 4 times.
We did it 3 times, only 3 times. You know, I either didn't get the timing right, the sperm didn't make the swim in enough time. I don't know.
Whoa, I'm dead.
Either way, we never got pregnant trying that.
And think about this. Each vial
costs mad bread. Depending on where you go.
Wherever you go. Now,
a G plus.
A G plus per vial.
Per vial. That's 1 vial of sperm. Yes.
So that's 3 attempts. That's $3,000.
That's $3,000.
So I'm like, yo, like, that's it. Done. We don't need to try at home anymore.
No, we do not. If y'all are going to do that, please do your due diligence. And know that I think that, I mean, some people get pregnant on the first try. They really do. I'm not trying to discourage nobody. It just didn't work for us. So that all started in October, November, December. I think we did 3 months back to back at the end of 2018. That did not work. We timed it like that though, because we knew that if things did not work at the top of 2019, we're going to redo our insurance so that we could have some assistance when it came time to do an IUI. Now, when I had went to the Fertility Center of, hi cutie, when I had went to the Fertility Center of Illinois for my fertility wellness exam, I already knew that I did not want to get fertility treatment there because it is a large facility. There were women in and out. And I think because of the vastness, it's like, because it was the most popular, because there were so many women there, I just didn't feel like I was going to get specialized treatment. I thought I was just going to be a number. It just didn't feel like, you know, I was going to get...
She didn't like the vibe.
I didn't like the vibe. So I did the fertility wellness exam there, but I knew I was going to explore other fertility centers when it came time. I honestly just picked the first one that took our insurance and that was not too far outside of the city. This one, you know, with no traffic in the morning, it was like 20-30 minutes. It could be 45 to an hour depending on traffic. So I picked that one. Advanced Fertility Center of Chicago. The only one I've ever been to, and it worked for me. So we started going out there January of 2019. I told them that we had been trying 3 times at home. Nothing happened. They suggested more testing. I told another same-sex couple this, and I will tell anybody else. If you want to kind of bypass that basic level of testing and really get to know more about your reproductive health to like make sure you're good to go, I would encourage you to tell the doctors that you have been trying already and have not been successful. If you say that to them, they will likely suggest you get more. Oh, you have the bird buddy? Yeah. They will likely suggest that you get more testing. So that's what happened. The other testing includes testing of your fallopian tubes to make sure there's no blockage, to make sure eggs are actually able to travel and come down and meet the sperm. And then there's another test where they go inside of your uterus to make sure there's nothing growing, not just on the outside, but there's nothing growing on the inside of the uterus, so that if your egg and sperm do come together, they have somewhere nice and cozy inside the uterus to implant and a baby can grow, okay? So those are 2 additional tests that I did not get done initially, but could impact your fertility significantly. You know what I'm saying? So all I knew was about my hormone levels, but I didn't even know about the structural makeup of my uterus. Like, you can have a blocked fallopian tube, or you can have all types of stuff going on. Hey, Pooh. You could have all types of stuff going on in your uterus that could be negatively impacting, you know, your fertility and not even know it, okay? So first test was the fallopian tube. They tell you instantly, like they do it, they squirt some water in there. And she's like, okay, water is flowing good through your fallopian tubes. There's no blockage there. It's an instant result. Like they tell you as you're laying there and they're doing the testing. It's not, those two procedures are non-invasive. You don't have to go to sleep. One of them is a catheter. So there's like minor pain. So they're minimally invasive, but they're very, very effective in terms of giving you some information about what's going on down there. So immediately I found out my fallopian tubes were both open. Check, perfect. They go in the uterus, and within seconds of being inside the uterus, my doctor tells me I have polyps on the inside of my uterus. Polyps are little growths. They're not big. They're not like fibroids or anything. They're these little things that she said they literally go in and just kind of flick off. So imagine, I guess, like a pimple or something, or like a little growth. She said, you have polyps in there, and that will impact an embryo. Because what if your embryo tries to go and implant right where the polyp is? It's not gonna, that's not a good space for it to implant and grow a baby. So, you know, I could have, all those times at home, I could have been having an embryo, but it had nowhere to implant because there's like polyps inside there. I'm immediately like devastated, like, oh no, I wanted to try. She's like, it's okay, you can still try this cycle. The way we time everything out, you know, you just go in and get this procedure. So they schedule a surgical procedure. Now, this surgical procedure, to have them removed, they have to put you under. It still was only a 20 to 30 minute procedure. I think I was only under for 20 minutes. Yeah. They go in, they pluck the little polyps off, and in 30 minutes, you're awake and polyp free. So, you know, that was cool. Babe was there. I got my polyps removed.
I remember it was like snowing.
It was snowing.
I had to drive in the snow. Babe was like out of it.
Out of it. It's all, I mean, because they do put you under. So that one is a little more invasive in terms of you might have to take a day or two because they put you under. But I'm telling you, it's worthwhile. It's worthwhile. So after I got those two procedures done, the doctor confirmed, okay, you're good to go for some IUIs. IUIs are when they take sperm, they stick it inside your uterus.
Uterine.
What?
No, it's not endometrium.
What is she talking about?
What does IUI stand for?
Oh, intrauterine insemination.
I said endometrium.
Girl. I didn't even know what she was trying to say.
I said
IUI. Intrauterine insemination. This is the process where they put a catheter in your cervix. That's the entrance of your uterus. They take a tube, stick it in there, and then they insert the sperm in there. Okay, so it's still pretty natural in terms of the fact that your body still has to do all the work. All they do is put the sperm inside the uterus.
Hold on, we're gonna pause y'all real quick.
Pause. We'll be back. All right, so we're back. Baby boy's eating and happy, and we're good. So IUI, the doctors monitor you. That's the whole, once you bring the doctors into things, it kind of relieves the stress of having to figure out your body on your own, right? So they monitor your follicle, they watch it grow, and once it gets to a certain size, that's when you know your egg is about to drop, and they go ahead and they schedule your IUI. Again, IUI, they squirt the sperm in there. Your body still has to do all the work. The sperm still got to meet up with the egg. They still got to commingle and do their thing. It still got to implant in your uterus. The only intervention from the doctor is they put it inside your uterus for you. Which, you know, I mean, that kind of cuts some of the process down, but you still got to pray. You still got to call on the universe. You still got to do all of that. Whatever. We did 1, nothing. We did 2, jackpot. I got pregnant on the second one. See, that's why I don't be want to tell stories about her, because she don't be remembering.
I was about to say no.
Get
pregnant on the second one neither.
I have video of when I told her I was pregnant off the second one. Really nice. Maybe I will put it in right here. Okay.
How did you know?
So yes, y'all, that's her finding out that I was pregnant after our second IUI. And I hadn't, mind you, I didn't find out because I went and got tested at the doctor's. I found out because I tested on a pregnancy stick a couple days before I was due to test with the doctor. Thirsty. And so, I was able to really surprise her because she knew we had the doctor's appointment.
Yeah,
and
I wasn't. Like, oh, how you know?
She was stunned. I got pregnant. So we confirmed with the doctors at 4 weeks. This was April of 2018. I will never forget it.
I was also competing or training for a bodybuilding competition.
She was.
During this time.
Mind you, she did really well. Maybe I'll put in some footage of her from her competition.
Next competitor is Laura Ciasio from St. Charles.
Yes, 35.
35! Like all of this was happening while I was training.
Her competition was in May of 2019. Or April of 2019. We got pregnant. We confirmed it at 4 weeks. So I'm just going on about life. I'm super excited. Homecoming from Beyonce was coming out. A good friend of mine was planning a viewing party. Anybody who knows me, first of all, knows I'm a Beyonce fan, okay? And she had this documentary coming out. A friend of mine.
What was it called? Lemonade?
Homecoming, friend. Homecoming. All that to say, the reason why I'm bringing that up is because April 20th, it was a Saturday. I remember it very distinctly. Because it was the day of this viewing party for Beyonce.
Yep, and we had tacos.
So I wake up that morning to go use the bathroom, and trigger warning. And I'm going to put this in the comments below because I know talk of miscarriage is like triggering for some women. That morning, April 20th, I was like 5 weeks and maybe 2 or 3 days. I wake up super excited because I'm going to this Beyonce special viewing party. I'm pregnant. Life is good. I wake up and I'm bleeding, right? Now, mind you, worry of miscarriage or any of that was not in my mind at all. And I know a lot of women during the first trimester worry about that. It literally never crossed my mind until that moment. That moment when I woke up and I was bleeding. And I think it was like early, 5 in the morning. So I yell out to Babe, I think. I said, Babe, I'm bleeding. And mind you, she's sleeping. She didn't think anything of it in terms of me going to the bathroom. I don't know if she expected for me to like say anything. So I screamed, I said, Babe, I'm bleeding. I will not go into details again for the sake of protecting anyone who might be on their journey and is watching this. Bleeding, I immediately call the fertility center immediately. I left a message. They were closed, but I left a message and said, you know, I'm 5 weeks in a couple of days. Got pregnant off an IUI. I woke up bleeding. It seems like it's a lot. And, you know, whatever. They called me back. They were like, look, no worries. A lot of women bleed in their first trimester. Just come in the same day. It was a Saturday morning. I started bleeding at 5. I was there by like 8 or 9. Come in the same day. We'll run some numbers. No worries. My day is blown, okay? I'm supposed to go see Beyonce, and I'm like excited about Beyonce and then and being pregnant, and now I'm worried about what is this bleeding. So, you know, I go get my numbers done. They called me back then. Initially, when you get your numbers done, they can't tell you anything because they have to follow your numbers. So your HCG levels when you're pregnant, they double daily. So when you first get pregnant, they're like 50, then they bump up to 100, then 200, then 400, then so on. Based on what day I was pregnant, they called me back and they said, your numbers look good, but we have to test you again in a couple of days to make sure your numbers are still going up. If they're going down, it's a sign of a miscarriage. If they're going up, we'll have to figure it out from there. So the day of the miscarriage, the numbers look fine. So I'm trying not to worry. I'm only 5 weeks and 3 days. I was not trying to tell anybody about the fact we didn't tell anybody.
Nobody knew we were pregnant.
I was very, very adamant about keeping our journey private. A, because I'm really into like energy and protecting the sacredness of the journey, and B, I knew it could be a journey. I knew it could possibly be a roller coaster ride, and I just was not open to sharing that with anyone besides my wife. So we go to this party. Now, I'm a Beyonce fan. Everybody was expecting me to be like, and I was trying to keep it cute. And
super cute.
It was super, super cute. And I tried to maintain, my high spirits and all of that good stuff and really just enjoy it. But I also wasn't trying to dance around too much. I was pregnant. I was bleeding still. I was bleeding the whole day. Now, mind you, it was never like really heavy, but it was still like bleeding. So I had no intentions of telling anyone, but at the party, my ass sits down on the couch and I bleed on my friend's couch, right? So I'm like,
you told me and I started cleaning
I told her, she secretly started cleaning it up, but then I also felt like I needed to tell the host because I bled on her couch. So I tell the host and I'm like, I'm so sorry I bled on your couch. I end up having to tell her, hey, we've been trying. I found out I was pregnant. I woke up bleeding. Speeding it up some. A couple days later, I go back in to test my numbers again. Have my fingers crossed that like they've gone up. Doctor calls me. They have in fact not gone up, but they've dropped drastically because I am no longer pregnant. I have officially miscarried. I was in a state of shock. I couldn't even really be sad because I was stunned. Because I just hadn't prepared for it not to just be a pregnancy. I just hadn't prepared for it. So when you have a miscarriage, your body takes time to recalibrate, resettle. You have to take months off before you can even think about trying again. We focused on her getting through her competition. Y'all, what she smashed. She came home with 2 trophies. Mm-hmm. Smashed her competition. We had a vacation plan because
we didn't have a vacation plan at that point.
We didn't plan. I thought Bahamas was already planned.
No, did we already decide?
I thought
we did.
We had a vacation plan. I think like 2 weeks after her competition because, hey, baby, because, she wanted to celebrate being able to be normal and drink again. I had to wait for like my period to regulate again. And so we decided that once my period regulated, so we were thinking, okay, let's do some more IUIs.
So
it
we
worked.
did a couple more, right?
We came back April. I think we didn't do anything. We went on vacation in May. And then we tried again July and August. This is all in 2019. And they both were negative. So now at this point, we've done 4 IUIs, 1 successful, and a miscarriage. And we were like, all right, that's it. I, at that point, was ready to explore IVF. And I think she was too. In fact, I feel like I had to convince you to do the last 2 IUIs. I think you were.
Yeah, I was already.
She was over it because the IUIs are not covered by insurance. We were paying out of pocket for those. So we were paying for the sperm and then we were also paying for the procedures. Now, IUIs are not nearly as costly as IVF because it's just them putting a catheter in there. And I honestly don't remember how much they cost, but
I don't remember either. And I think that's site specific, right?
Right, it depends on, but it's significantly cheaper than IVF. So again, it's another cost-effective way to try if your body is doing everything it needs to do. So we took the rest of 2019 off. We planned an impromptu trip to Bali after the end of the year. And we said we're going to start again in 2020. And that ended up being amazing. We went to Bali, had the time of our lives. We were able to
had a really good time. We needed that.
We did need
after
it.
Trying 2019.
After trying, we did 4 times in 2019.
Tough.
And we went through a lot. So, you know, we needed to end the year with a bang and go on a vacation to somewhere fun where we like to travel before we really started trying again in 2020. Okay. So, end of the year.
And just like, I'm not saying like I'm gonna just add a little bit of knowledge. Like I think it's important that you don't have much going on when you're trying.
Yes, that's fair to say.
You know, because I don't think that I was as supportive as I needed to be during that time because my time was so limited.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like I was there, but she was literally like almost like processing all of this like almost on her own and like dealing with a lot of it because I was at the gym for 3 and 4 hours out of the day. Like my mind was not really there in the baby making process, even though I was there physically. I wasn't really there supportive, I don't think, and emotionally. So I think that is something you have to also consider. Just make sure you're not like doing anything. My advice.
I think that's fair advice to give. For the woman who's trying, you know, you want your stress levels low because that impacts fertility. And then also, you know, you need emotional support. And I don't even think that I even took into account that, you know, the timing of it. April 20th, that was literally weeks before her competition.
Yeah.
And so she was in the thick of it. And like hangry is not even the word for the type of mood that she was in. Her body was like...
It was going through a lot. I was up, my days, I was up at 5 in the morning going to the gym, working a very demanding job, and then coming home, working out for another 2 to 3 hours just to do it all over again.
Yeah.
Not really getting any time to decompress. Then she's also trying to get pregnant. And I'm trying to be as supportive and hearing news of not working, not being able to really go to all the appointments. It was just a lot.
It was a lot. Just
make sure that when it's time to do this and you're investing your time and your emotional space and just your financial stuff,
put your best foot forward.
Put
your best foot forward is being there, being
100% present.
That is fair,
and that being the forefront of where you are in that moment. I think that really truly made a difference from 2019 to 2020.
Yes, I think that's a great advice. And look, we just telling you our story with hopes that it helps you decide how you're going to handle yours. So 2020 comes. January 2020.
She was like, babe, I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Like, okay.
So as soon as January 1st hits, and the cycles are all timed based on that first day of your period. Whether you having an IUI, whether you having that's like when things hit the fan. So my day 1 of my period in January, I called the fertility doctor. I remind them of who I am. Look, I was there all of 2019 and got pregnant, had a miscarriage, had failed IUIs. I'm ready to explore my options in doing IVF. They're like, perfect. It's day 1 of your period. Come in tomorrow. So you call them on day 1 and they get you in either on day 2 or day 3. So when you call them,
be ready to pull the trigger.
Okay.
Have your ducks in a row. What I mean by that is make sure that your insurance is aligned. You know, open enrollment comes around in October.
Yes.
So make sure if you're planning on getting pregnant that next year, make sure you enroll for that coverage that you know that you're gonna need
at the
in
end
October
of the year before,
for that upcoming year.
Yes, and so we had did that, and I already knew that I was ready, and I knew I was eligible for IVF too. That's another thing. Check with your company to see, because before they cover you for IVF, you have to have a certain amount of like IUIs. And I had
not necessarily.
not all of them. I won't speak on behalf of ours because ours was not that case, but I know some of them do, and that's just from listening to other TTC journeys. You have to have, I think, three failed IUIs before they will cover IVF treatment. So do your research. Call them. Say,
and
hey.
I called and I said, hey, I'm trying to get pregnant and I'm having some questions about fertility. I see that IVF is covered? Do you have to have any type of
What are the prerequisites
to receive this coverage?
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, congratulations, you're trying.
Mm-hmm.
You just go to the doctor. And I'm like, oh, so you don't need any like failed? And she's like, no, like
it could be as simple as that. It could be as simple as that.
All you want, it could not.
Or
so
cannot.
Just check.
Call and ask them the questions. Tell them, be candid and be, upfront about, what your journey is and what your expectations are for coverage. So January 1, I call. They say they literally had me in the next day. I go in there. They wanted to check the inside of since I had the polyps the year before, they wanted to check the inside of my uterus again just to make sure none had grown back. So that second day of my period, they went in my uterus. They said no polyps. Great, we can move forward this cycle. I'm pretty sure I started
your
medication
right then.
They ordered it, and they even gave me some to use like before the medication came in the mail.
Yeah.
Now, y'all know what IVF is at this point. If you don't know what IVF is, in vitro fertilization is when they grow my egg. They stimulate your egg growth, so they grow a whole bunch of eggs for you. They go and they take them out. They fertilize them in a petri dish and make embryos, so you have little embryo babies, and then they take the fertilized egg and they put it in you, and that's it. So that's in vitro.
And then hopefully the embryo
and all the embryo has to do at that point when they put it in you is to implant inside your uterus. The hard work is done. They've already fertilized it. That's that. So I go in and they immediately start me on the egg stimulation medication. So it's medication that's growing all my follicles, and then once you start that, they monitor you regularly, because usually your body only grows one follicle at a time. But when you have medical intervention, they grow as many as they can. They monitor you very regularly, because if, for instance, those little eggs those follicles that they've been stimulating, if they were to release those eggs on their own, because it's not one and it's upward of 20 at one time, if that were to happen naturally, your body would be in excruciating pain. So they monitor it so that they can time the date when you have your surgical procedure, and they go in and retrieve the eggs. So you want them to retrieve them while you're sleeping, so your body doesn't naturally release them. So they stimulate them, they monitor you every few days, and then they say, okay, it's time for us to schedule your retrieval. You go in. This is another procedure where they put you to sleep, and they just go in and they take out all the eggs that you have grown over those 2 weeks. So I think you start medication, you take medication, and about 2 weeks later, which is the middle of your cycle, they go through and they take them all out. That was fine. We got, I think, 18 eggs out, and then they go through, they test them, they fertilize them. They have to go through a couple steps. And by the time they fertilize them and freeze them and all of that, I only had 9 left. So when you do the retrieval, it's unlikely that they'll put the fresh embryo in you, because your body has to like recalibrate from all the hormones that you took to stimulate. So you might have to skip a cycle like how I did. So I got them retrieved in February, right? If my hormone levels were right, they would have put an embryo inside of me in February as well. But since I was on all that medication, they was like, let's just wait for your body to kind of reset, and we'll freeze them and we'll put an embryo inside you. I'm not playing with you. So we'll do it next month. So my retrieval went great, and so we wait till March. Oh my gosh, how can I forget this? March 2020. This is like the beginning of a pandemic, okay? So the retrieval, I think we knew COVID was a thing, but it still hadn't really come to the US yet. But by the time March came, my embryo transfer was scheduled for Friday, March 13th. And I remember a friend of ours had some friends come into town, and when they came, we was like, oh, y'all got on those flights. We still went out to the club that weekend though, so it was like we knew COVID was here, but we wasn't scared.
It wasn't a thing.
We wasn't scared quite yet. It happened over a couple of days. Matter of fact, I'm gonna put a video in when we went out March 9th. This is the weekend before. And me and my wife went out to the club and we was twerking our lives out. Insert video, insert video here. Had a whole bunch of fun. That was our last time.
We was like the old heads at the club.
We were.
Like, I was looking at all those youngers, like, and I was like, I was like, yo, play this. I'm like, play this, play this. Mind you, this is not cool anymore. Like, the music I was like requested was not cool, and I'm like dancing, and I'm like getting my boogie on. I'm sorry.
Anywho, that was our last time out, and we're literally coming up on a year now since that day. So we have our transfer schedule Friday, March 13th. Friday the 13th. Super superstitious day, but for me, I was like, that is a sign from the universe. Like, it wasn't a negative superstition for me. It was like, wow, you know, we get to have this transfer on this special day. It's going to be perfect. It's going to work or whatever. So we go in there. That was the day the shutdown literally happened. Like, her office, that was the last day her people were in the office. It was the last day my people were in the office. That following Monday, we were all both instructed not to come to work and to work from home. This is like the 2 days after my embryo transfer. I'm still like mind blown that happened. So March 13th, I do my transfer. It was great. You know, it's so crazy because they tell you to fill your bladder before the embryo transfer, right? And then after they put the transfer in, did I go to sleep for that? You do not go to sleep for the transfer. You do not. They just put the embryo in you. And then they make you no,
because I was in there.
You were in there. And they make you lay. They say after the embryo is put inside you, they tell you to lay for 20 minutes. And you have a full bladder.
Like,
all I wanted to do was pee. But I was like, I'm going to pee my embryo out. I cannot pee my baby out. So I'm just sitting there literally trying not to pee on myself, laying on this table. And I got to 18 minutes. I couldn't even last the 20 minutes. And I was like, I just hope 18 minutes is long enough, child. So did the 18 minutes, went and I peed, and that was the end of that. March 13th, March 22nd was the day of our pregnancy test. Now, mind you, I'm kind of stressed because I did get pregnant that one time before. So I had little like cues that I was looking for to tell me that I was pregnant. But there was like nothing. I didn't feel nothing. It was just, you know, I didn't think I was pregnant. I didn't know what to expect. March 22nd, we go. It was a Sunday, I think. They call, and they're like, I put it on speakerphone, and I don't even know what she said. What did she say, sis?
She said, you're pregnant.
She said, you're pregnant. And so that's our story. That's how we got pregnant. I'm going to do my pregnancy and my birth story in a separate video. But that's pretty much it. And so to like tie it up a little bit, you know, what tidbits of information do we want to revisit? Insurance. We cannot stress to you enough. Unless you're going to be doing the method at home, please check with your insurance to see how much this stuff is going to cost you. All of this medical intervention costs big money.
I will also recommend, if you know you're going to try, start at the beginning of the year. And this is just if you're a lesbian couple. Start at the beginning of the year so you can pay out your deductible. And then once you meet your out-of-pocket costs, you don't have to pay for anything else.
Learn your insurance plan, y'all. If you have any questions, put them in the box below. Contact her or contact your insurance company. They will walk you through it. Number 2, know your reproductive health. Oh, we didn't really talk much about shopping for donor sperm. Do you want to talk about that, friend?
I mean, there's several cryo banks that you can choose from around the country. Choose whatever one speaks to you.
When you Google cryobanks, the first two that pop up are California cryobank and Fairfax cryobank. They're great, but if you're a person of color looking for black sperm, you're going to find a handful of people there. So you can either choose those two and only have a handful to choose from, or you can explore the other hundreds of cryobanks in the country. So again, just do your research on the cryobanks, explore. And that is pretty much it. Do your research. And if you have any questions about, you know, all the research that we've done and all the research that other couples have done, or, you know, little tips and tricks to try to make it somewhat easier, please feel free to send us a private message, contact us below in the comments, anything like that. And that is our journey, and that's the end of it. And we out this joint. Thank you for coming back with the Balans.
Peace.
Peace.